Welcome everyone to another session on current affairs by Civils 360 IS Academy. So recently we saw that the removal motion regarding the Lok Sabha speaker was defeated, right? So the opposition had introduced a removal motion against the speaker Om Birla, but it failed. So we are going to be discussing about the post of speaker in this session and seven things regarding the constitutional articles, how the purpose of speaker, and all those things we will discuss. So it's an important constitutional office both for prelims as well as mains. You can expect some questions on speaker in this prelims as well as mains. Okay, so the first important thing you need to know regarding the speaker is regarding the constitutional provisions, right? So the constitutional provisions, you need to know about Article 93. Okay, Article 93 is actually establishing the constitutional position of speaker and deputy speaker. So another important fact you have to remember, there has not been a deputy speaker in the 17th Lok Sabha as well as in the as of right now also we do not have a deputy speaker. So that is in contravention to the provisions of the constitution, which says that there has to be a speaker and deputy speaker as soon as maybe the house should elect. Okay, the Article 93 says that as soon as maybe the house of the people should elect the speaker as well as the deputy speaker among the members, right? And the election process is a simple majority. That is, you need only 50% of present and voting plus 1. That is, working majority is the that is the number of members that has to support, or that is the number 4. So you need to actually win an election in the case of a speaker as well as a deputy speaker, right? So another important thing you have to remember is that the speaker is a very important constitutional office. So we discussed Article 93. These are all provided in Part 5 of the Constitution, right? The provisions regarding the union, right? Everything is actually regarding the union part of the polity, right? Then, so another important thing you need regarding the speaker, okay, as well as the deputy speaker, okay. So so if you look at their salary and allowances, okay, salary and allowances is actually charged on the Consolidated Fund of India. So it actually adds to their independence. It is to ensure some form of independence to these positions. So this amount is actually charged on the Consolidated Fund of India, which means that the House cannot actually reduce it, or there is no debate on the amount. They can just pass a bill sanctioning the amount. Okay, they can also increase the amount, but they cannot decrease the amount, or there is no debate allowed on the amount as such. Okay, this amount has to be given. They are charged on the Consolidated Fund of India. So that is also mentioned there. Okay, so then regarding the oath of office, right? So there is a separate oath for this speaker and deputy speaker. They're obviously going to be members of the house. So their oath will be administered by the president or another officer appointed by the president. They do not have separate oath. So one of their main role is regarding they will actually administer the oath to the members of the parliament. Okay, that is one of their role. Okay, so then if you look at the next article, Article 94. Okay, Article 94 actually talks about what happens if the seat is vacated, and what happens when the seat is absent. Okay, so that we'll discuss in detail. So basically, Article 94 actually talks about when the speaker or the post of the speaker and deputy speaker, what happens when they are vacated, what happens when they are disqualified, what happens when they are absent. Okay, so the provisions for removal of the speaker is also provided in the article 94. It's very important. Remember, article 93, 94, 95 up to 97 is actually regarding the speaker and deputy speaker. Okay, so regarding their voting, regarding their removal motions and all those kind of things. Similar provisions exist at the state level, but that is actually in article 179. Okay, so that is regarding the what you can say, article 179 is regarding the speaker and deputy speaker of the legislative assembly. So just keep that provisions also in mind. Okay, now talking about article 94, once again, there is a difference between vacating your seat as well as your seat getting absent. So vacating means there is a legal vacuum. Okay, that is a formal loss of seat happens, then you will call it a vacancy. That is, you resign or you get disqualified or something happens, you die or something, then your seat becomes vacant. Okay, there is a legal vacuum. Okay, no, it's more of a permanent nature. Okay, there is no chance for you to come back to that office. Okay, in the case of absence, there is a temporary you are temporarily away from your seat. Okay, which means that you will come back to occupy that position after a while. So that's the difference between vacancy and absence. So if the speaker's post is actually vacant, okay, if it is actually vacant, okay, then obviously it is the deputy speaker that will preside the house. Okay, as of now we do not have any deputy speaker for the House of People, so that also just keep in mind. Now if the deputy speaker is also absent, then what happens is that the president will appoint a member. Okay, so if vacancy of speaker, deputy speaker, if deputy speaker is also vacant, then the president will appoint. Right, now if the speaker's position is actually absent due to some sickness or some temporary issue, then obviously during that period the deputy speaker will come, and deputy speaker is absent, then a panel of chairpersons would be created. Okay, so this provision is not there in the constitution, it is actually provided by the rules of the house. This is very important, rules of the house. The panel of chairpersons are not provided by the constitution, it's actually provided by the rules of the house. Okay, rules of the house. Rules of the house. So the panel of chairpersons, in the case of the House of the People, there are 10 members, and the panel of, similarly you have a panel of vice chairperson, right? Of the presiding officers are there for the Rajya Sabha. Okay, a similar panel exists for Rajya Sabha. That panel has 6 members. Okay, that panel has 6 members, but for the Lok Sabha we have a 10-member panel. Okay, and these members are actually what you can say, nominated. Okay, these members are actually nominated by the speaker. Okay, nominated by the speaker. Similar parallel provisions exist for Rajya Sabha. Just know that the strength of the panel is different. Okay, so speaker will nominate 10. Okay, there is no elections to these kind of positions. They are only the speaker and deputy speaker is actually elected. Okay, so this is when vacancy and absence, what happens, these are the provisions. Now it says that to remove a presiding officer, both speaker and deputy speaker, you need a higher majority. Okay, you need a higher majority. What is a higher majority required? Okay, a higher majority of a 50% of total strength of the house plus 1. Okay, this is the majority that is required to remove a speaker or the deputy speaker or any presiding officer in our constitution. So this majority is what we call as effective majority. Okay, effective majority. It is a type of special majority, but it's also called effective majority. So the strength of the house is actually meaning you take the total membership minus vacant seats. Okay, you take the total membership of the house, you subtract the number of vacant seats and 50% of that number plus 1. That is the number of MPs that has to support a motion, or that has to support a motion to remove a speaker or a deputy speaker or any presiding officer in our house. For the Rajya Sabha, you have the vice president is involved. So you need an additional simple majority from support from the Lok Sabha to remove the to remove the chairman of Rajya Sabha. But that's different. Okay, that's slightly different because the chairman of Rajya Sabha is effectively the vice president. So you need the support from Lok Sabha also. But within the Rajya Sabha, this resolution requires the effective majority. Okay, so similarly within Lok Sabha you need effective majority, and so total strength means membership minus the vacant seats. So recently the news was that this numbers could not be obtained by the house, and so the motion actually failed. Okay, so in previously only 3 instances were there where a such kind of motion was actually introduced, and all the 3 times it has failed, which means there has no successful removal motion against a speaker or deputy speaker. That has not been after independence. No such motion has succeeded. Okay, so including the Om Birla motion, now we have 4 motions. Okay, 3 motions. I think it includes G.V. Mavlankar. Our first speaker also faced a removal motion. Okay. Another 2 persons also faced the removal motion, and then you have the Om Birla case. Okay, so that is regarding the removal of our speaker or the deputy speaker. So another important thing you have to remember regarding the speaker is that, so when the house gets dissolved, okay, when the house gets dissolved, due to maintain the administrative continuity, the speaker will not leave office. Okay, will not leave office. Okay. When the Lok Sabha is getting out. This is to ensure that administrative continuity is there. Okay, so when the new house is actually formed, when the new house has been formed, somebody has to administer oath. Right, so it is usually the president, but president can also, but normal procedure is that so the constitution says that president or any officer are appointed by him, right? So in the first session, the president will appoint a new member, usually the most senior person, okay, senior person in terms of service. That person will be appointed as a pro tem speaker. Pro tem speaker, and the duty of the pro tem speaker is to administer oath to the new members of parliament. Okay, so when the pro tem speaker is appointed, the earlier speaker will leave office. Okay, so remember, the speaker do not leave office immediately after the dissolution of house. This is just to ensure that administrative continuity is there, right? Some person has to be there to coordinate the affairs of the house. Okay, some people has to ensure that the house functions even during elections. Okay, so that is why the speaker post will be there. But when the first batch or the first fresh elections conducted and the MPs get elected, for that session the speaker, this speaker will not be the pro tem speaker, or he could be the pro tem speaker if he gets re-elected. But sometimes if he does not get re-elected, okay, if he is not member of house, the speaker has to be a member of the house, right? So the pro tem speaker will be appointed by the president, who will will preside the first session, and in that session the other members he will administer oath to the other members, and that session will elect a new speaker. So this is how the procedure actually goes. Now to talk about one aspect regarding the voting. Okay, voting. Okay, so the voting aspect is that, so when the presiding officer is there, whatever person, speaker or deputy speaker, if he is presiding the house, he cannot vote in the first instance. Cannot vote in the first instance. That is, when a particular bill is being discussed and it is being put to vote, he cannot vote in the first instance. Only in the case of equality of votes or tiebreaker, then he can actually cast a vote. Okay. So cannot vote in the first instance. Only vote during equality of votes. Okay, equality of votes. Okay, so that is generally how voting actually takes place. Now, when a removal proposal or removal motion is being discussed in the parliament, obviously the speaker or deputy speaker whose removal is being discussed, they cannot preside over the house. They have to sit amongst the MPs, and then they can actually vote in the first instance, because they are no longer the presiding officer. So the logic is that the presiding officer cannot vote in the first instance, right? So during removal process, obviously they cannot preside over their own removal motion. That will be a violation of natural justice. So they will be part of the MPs and they can vote in the first instance, but they cannot vote in the equality of votes because that goes to the presiding officer. So that's how it usually happens, right? And for the removal motion, a 14-day prior notice is also given. That is also, you have to remember, 14-day prior notice. Okay. So we have discussed a little bit about the speaker, the constitutional provisions. So remember the constitutional provisions, remember the part, remember the wordings of the article. Please go and read the articles as such. Please understand the context where you are studying. So speaker is a very important office, right? It plays a lot of role. He certifies the money bills, he conducts the procedures, he is the final arbiter of the rules of procedure, right? So he can expunge remarks, he can suspend members, right? A lot of discretionary powers are there with the speaker. So the opposition has actually brought in the motion to remove the speaker for violation of certain norms, but obviously the motion has failed. So please study it for the both prelims as well as the mains perspective. That's all in this session. Thank you.